AI is changing how work is done, especially in the tech world, and the Bay Area, of course, is ground zero. For the next part of our series, Understanding the AI Shift, we're diving into jobs. We have seen major layoffs over the last year, some of them attributed to companies leaning more on AI instead of humans. Max Darrow joins us again with the human element of the story. Max, you spoke to several people who have been forced to make changes because of AI.
Yeah, Ryan. Some people are making these changes voluntarily, but other people are shifting and diving into these new paths, not by choice. And many of these people who were laid off are wondering if their career paths are even viable anymore. It's a really tricky spot, so some of them are deciding time to get creative. After more than 20 years of working for major tech companies as a user experience designer, from LinkedIn to Amazon to Google,
I take notes by hand.
Tim Sparks is now drawing up a new playbook.
I'm kind of hustling.
Sparks is an AI casualty. He's one of many people now in the midst of a major pivot, not by choice.
Everybody became a designer and an engineer and a product manager overnight. There aren't a lot of opportunities where someone like myself can just make the next move, because there's thousands of me on the job market.
Even if he did land a job, would it last?
It's not only put folks like myself questioning if we're needed, but it's also caused software engineers. Do I need a software engineer?
So he is betting on himself instead. Sparks is building his own agency called Kestrel, where he helps small business owners learn how to integrate AI into their workflows.
And then once I've come to kind of a consensus of what I want to do, I'll ask my agents to actually implement that.
But he, too, has had to change his workflow.
The intent is not to drive for long term, but it helps keep lights on. Hustlers are going to hustle.
All of these sectors are rapidly utilizing it.
Former EDD Director and Counsel at Duane Morris, Michael Bernick, says while tech layoffs continue to happen, he says data indicates people can't point the finger directly at AI.
What EDD is doing in terms of tracking unemployment claims, studies by other commissions that are already up and going. In fact, there's a lot of activity, as you might imagine, in this space in terms of AI job tracking. So far, the findings have been of relatively minimal. But the main impacts so far have been neither job creation or destruction. They've been an augmentation of existing jobs.
Bernick asserts the volatility stems from a mix of structural changes in the tech world, yes, AI adoption, and tech companies still pulling back from overhiring during the pandemic. Peter Purcell left the traditional tech world by choice.
I have led marketing teams at technology startups for about the last 12 years.
He saw an opportunity to build a way for AI to eliminate busy work, but not at the cost of eliminating humans.
Poplar learns how you talk authentically and how you write, and makes it very easy to create content that's in your voice and in your domain expertise, that's totally individual to you and never generic.
He spoke, Poplar listened and crafted.
I got my scuba diving certification over the weekend. I think it translates well to business. Pull from my unique knowledge base and help me create a post about this.
Purcell is optimistic about how humans and AI will be able to work in tandem.
Like with any new, massive change in the way humanity operates, there will be many speed bumps. It's already enabling an unprecedented level of efficiency, and it's going to make the world more productive, and it's going to make the economy bigger.
My name is Tim. I'm calling with a company by the name of Kestrel Digital.
Like most people right now, Sparks is learning a lot as he goes.
Kind of being forced into the fire and really figuring it out. It's not so bad.
And at this point, he thinks forging his own path is a better plan than going back to the corporate world. So I also spoke with the head of a group called Young Professionals of San Francisco about what kinds of conversations their members are having when they have their networking events. And it seems like the sentiment there is that companies are wanting people who are willing to embrace AI and dive into it head first, showing a willingness to learn about it, Ryan. So it's not even having that expertise really yet. It's still just being willing to learn more about AI.
And there's so much going on with artificial intelligence. I mean, jobs is only one of the concerns that people are having with AI.
Absolutely. There are legal concerns, regulatory concerns, and one of the big ones is how chatbots interact with humans as well, specifically children. So we're going to talk to a lawmaker in this series about that, as well as a family who knows this all too well and are pushing for guardrails, not just here in California, but nationwide.
All right, Max Darrow, thank you very much. Well, a new LinkedIn study shows that the AI boom is impacting the gender gap that women already face in the tech industry. Data shows across 27 countries, women make up just 13% of leadership roles at AI firms. And women are not just falling behind in the C-suite. In the U.S., women make up of only 26% of hires into any jobs that require AI skills. Another new poll shows that young Americans are growing more distrustful of the tech industry. Generation Labs and CNBC polled adults between 18 and 34 years old about 9 top executives in the AI field. Topping the list, Planter CTO Alex Karp. 81% of young people say they do not trust him, but the most trusted executive didn't fare much better. 65% polled said they also do not trust Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. And as the AI race heats up, we're also seeing a new leader in the field. According to the Wall Street Journal, Anthropic, Claude's parent company, surpassed OpenAI's quarterly revenue for the first time. OpenAI has seen slower growth of its chatbot ChatGPT, and the company's operating loss widening to more than $12 billion.